Imagine, imagine doing everything perfectly. Like you completely exceed all your targets.
Right. You just knock it out of the park.
Yeah. You pull off this massive project, you make your entire organization look incredible, and you even host this big celebration that everyone is raving about.
You're just at the absolute top of your game.
Exactly. And your reward for all of that, your boss fires you.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, fires you, blacklists you from the industry, and then permanently steals all your best team members.
I mean, that sounds like an absolute nightmare scenario or, a massive lawsuit waiting to happen.
Right.
But the wild thing is, historically speaking, and even just psychologically speaking, it is one of the most common traps that successful people fall into.
Which is just crazy to think about.
It is, because people assume that competence is always rewarded, and, well, it isn't.
Welcome to the deep dive.
Yeah.
Today we're exploring the notorious, often really ruthless ideas laid out in Robert Greene's book, The 48 Laws of Power.
It's quite the manual.
Oh, totally. And whether you're, prepping for a high-stakes corporate meeting or trying to navigate a genuinely toxic office culture, or maybe you're just insanely curious about human psychology, our mission today is to decode the hidden dynamics of power that secretly govern our relationships.
Because society constantly tells us that the world is fair, right? That it's honest and democratic.
Exactly. But the source material argues that the modern world is actually exactly like the scheming, cutthroat, aristocratic courts of the past.
It's basically Game of Thrones, but in a conference room.
Okay, let's unpack this, because reading about these mechanics is almost like, putting on a pair of X-ray glasses.
Yeah, once you see the game being played, you really can't unsee it.
So true. But where do we even start?
Well, to truly understand what the book is getting at, we have to establish a really crucial framework right from the jump.
Yeah?
We have to view power as an amoral game.
Amoral. Meaning not immoral, but just
without morals.
Okay.
Yeah, it is neither inherently good nor evil. It's simply a dynamic to be observed, understood and mastered.
Like gravity or something.
Exactly like gravity. If you attach moral judgment to every single move people make, like getting outraged because someone wasn't completely transparent or because life just isn't perfectly fair,
Yeah.
you will be totally blinded to what is actually happening right in front of you.
Because we want that clean, jagged white line on the X-ray, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like a binary system where doing good work just automatically guarantees a good outcome.
Right, but human ambition just doesn't work like that. Which brings up the mindset you have to adopt before you can even begin to apply any of these so-called laws. The text calls this the courtier's dilemma.
The courtier's dilemma. Take us back to the aristocratic courts.
So think back to the old courts of kings, queens, and emperors. Overt violence eventually became frowned upon.
Right, you couldn't just draw a sword
Yeah.
and chop your rival's head off in the middle of the throne room.
Exactly. It was messy and illegal, so you had to outwit them secretly. You had to use seduction, charm, and what he also calls the velvet glove.
The velvet glove. I like that.
Yeah, you destroy your opponent, but you do it with a smile and impeccable manners.
And that dynamic hasn't disappeared at all. It's just, wearing a modern suit now.
Oh, absolutely.
Today, we can't use coercion or brute force in the boardroom or like the PTA meeting. We have to be congenial yet cunning.
And the people who are the most dangerous in this modern environment are very often the ones who claim they aren't playing the game at all.
Oh, the illusion of the non-player.
Yes.
I know exactly what you mean. I'm talking about the people who proudly declare, oh, I just don't do office politics.
Right, or the ones who aggressively demand perfect, flat equality in every single situation, regardless of competence.
If we connect this to the bigger picture... Wait, sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're good. I was just going to say, if we connect this to the bigger picture, viewing power as an objective, amoral game helps you judge people by the actual effects of their actions rather than their claimed intentions.
Because people will always claim noble intentions.
Always. To cover up their power grabs, the supposed non-player who constantly flaunts their moral superiority is usually just throwing dust in your eyes.
Right.
By demanding equality in situations where people clearly have vastly different skill levels or leverage, they're actually deploying a highly sophisticated strategy to redistribute power on their own terms.
All while making you feel guilty for questioning them.
Exactly.
It's like someone playing a really complex strategy board game with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they loudly announce, guys, I don't even care who wins. I just want everyone to have fun.
Such a classic move.
Meanwhile, they are quietly building this unstoppable army in the corner of the board while everyone else is distracted by the snacks. It's brilliant camouflage.
It is a masterclass in deception. And to see through that camouflage, you have to master your own internal landscape first.
Meaning your emotions.
Yes. The single greatest barrier to acquiring and maintaining power is an emotional response, specifically anger.
Because anger clouds reason.
Yeah. Completely. When you get angry, your strategic vision narrows down to this tiny point of vengeance. If you let someone make you angry, you've essentially handed them the remote control to your brain.
Wow. Handed them the remote control. That's a great way to put it.
Yeah. And the text suggests a fascinating alternative to this. We need to be like the Roman deity Janus.
The two-faced god.
Right. But not two-faced as in deceitful.
Oh, okay.
Literally having one face looking to the future to calculate every possible permutation of a plan, and one face looking to the past.
But the vital caveat here is that you look to the past only to learn from mistakes.
Right. Exactly. You never look to the past to hold grudges. Grudges are just another emotion that weighs you down and makes you predictable.
And that emotional discipline, that cold, objective detachment, is basically the absolute foundation.
It has to be, because the most dangerous landmines in your career aren't usually planted by your bitter enemies.
No.
No, they're planted by the fragile egos of the people directly above you.
Ah, the ego of the boss. The source material actually spends a ton of time on this. In fact, it is the very first rule of survival laid out in the book Law 1, never outshine the master.
Which goes against literally every modern instinct we have.
Totally. We're taught to show off our talents, build our personal brand, prove our worth.
And it is a profound trap that incredibly talented, ambitious people fall into every single day. They think that by demonstrating sheer brilliance, they'll secure their position.
Which brings us back to that scenario from the start of the episode. The historical example the text provides to illustrate this is just wild.
It really is.
So we have to go to France. 1661, Nicolas Fouquet is the finance minister for King Louis XIV, who's famously known as the Sun King.
Right. Huge ego on that guy.
Massive ego. So Fouquet desperately wants to become the prime minister, and he decides to throw the most spectacular party the world has ever seen to honor the king.
At his gorgeous chateau, Vaux-le-Vicomte.
Yes, we're talking a custom play written by Molière. Exotic oriental foods nobody in France had ever even tasted. Massive fireworks displays illuminating these extravagant gardens.
He pulled out all the stops.
He really did. He wanted to show the king what an incredibly capable, connected, and tasteful minister he was.
And, I mean, if the world were a pure meritocracy, the king would have promoted him on the spot.
Right. Look at this guy. He's amazing.
Exactly. But the world is governed by human psychology. Instead of winning the king's favor, Fouquet accidentally offended Louis's vanity in the worst possible way.
The king felt entirely upstaged.
Completely. And the very next day, Louis had his head musketeer D'Artagnan arrest Fouquet.
Just for throwing a good party.
Yep. Fouquet spent the last 20 years of his life in solitary confinement.
Unbelievable.
And you know what the ultimate salt in the wound was?
What?
Louis XIV took Fouquet's architects, his garden designers, his party planners, and used them to build the Palace of Versailles.
Oh, man. That is brutal.
Okay.
But the psychological mechanism underneath that tragedy is completely predictable, isn't it?
It is. If you think about the biological roots of status anxiety, all masters, all bosses, leaders, whatever you want to call them, they all possess an underlying fear of being replaced.
They need to feel secure in their superiority.
Exactly. So when Fouquet put on that incredible display, he didn't make the king look good. He inadvertently showed everyone that the finance minister had more wealth, better taste, and arguably more influence than the monarch himself.
He triggered an existential threat in his boss's brain.
He did.
Okay, but I have to push back here.
Sure.
Because thinking about my own career, or anyone listening right now, what does this actually mean for us? Am I just supposed to play dumb at work so my insecure manager feels good about themselves?
Right.
Like, if I'm a rock star coder or a brilliant salesperson, disguising my own strengths just seems completely counterproductive to my own career trajectory.
That's a really natural objection, but it kind of misses the nuance of the law. The law does not demand incompetence.
Okay, so what does it demand?
It demands strategic discretion. You are still supposed to do excellent work. What you manipulate is the optics of that work.
The optics.
Yes. If you're noticeably smarter than your boss, act slightly naive in their presence. Seek their expertise on matters you already understand, just to make them feel authoritative.
Oh, that's sneaky.
Or if you're naturally funnier or more charismatic, just tone it down when they hold the floor. You flatter the master by ensuring they are always the center of gravity in the room. You let them be the sun?
Let them be the sun, because if you try to be the sun, you just end up blinding them.
Exactly. And it doesn't hurt your trajectory. It actually protects it. By shielding their ego, you buy yourself the time and the security you need to quietly build your own power base.
Without placing a massive target on your own back.
Precisely.
So the book contrasts Fouquet's complete disaster with a brilliant success story from 1610 involving the astronomer Galileo Galilei.
Yes, Galileo took a completely different approach to managing the master.
So Galileo was struggling with funding, right?
He was. And usually, Renaissance scientists would discover something and then divide the credit to hedge their bets.
So they'd give a new telescope to one patron, maybe dedicate a book to another?
Exactly. But when Galileo discovered the 4 moons of Jupiter, he didn't spread the credit around at all. He dedicated the discovery exclusively to the powerful Medici family, specifically Cosimo II.
And the brilliance of that move lies in the symbolism.
It really does.
Because the Medici family symbol was Jupiter, right?
Yes. Galileo didn't just hand them a scientific paper. He literally aligned their family name with the cosmos.
He basically announced that the heavens themselves reflected the glory of the Medicis.
He turned a massive scientific breakthrough into an unprecedented public relations campaign for his patrons.
That is genius.
He understood that patrons, whether they're 17th century dukes or modern tech CEOs, they don't just want the product you make. They want to feel creative, powerful, and larger than life.
So he didn't challenge their intellectual authority by presenting himself as this solitary genius.
Yeah. No, he elevated their authority. He used his brilliance to make the master shine brighter than anyone else.
And the result of that cosmic flattery, he was appointed the official court philosopher and mathematician with a guaranteed full-time salary.
He secured his life's work just by managing the ego above him.
Incredible. But navigating the egos above you is really only half the battle.
True.
Navigating the egos beside you, like the peers, friends, and subordinates you work with day to day, that requires a completely different and arguably much darker set of rules.
Which brings us to Law 2.
Law 2. Never put too much trust in friends. Learn how to use enemies.
This one is often the hardest law for people to swallow.
Why do you think that is?
Because our natural instinct, especially when we achieve a position of leadership or start a new venture, is to surround ourselves with friends. We want familiarity, trust, and comfort in a really harsh world.
But the author argues this is actually a fatal trap.
A completely fatal trap.
And to prove it, they take us to the Byzantine Empire in the mid-9th century. Young Emperor Michael III takes the throne.
Right.
He is surrounded by murderers and conspirators, so he decides he needs someone he can trust implicitly.
Makes sense on paper.
Right. So he elevates his absolute best friend, a peasant named Basilius, who had once saved his life from a wild horse.
A classic origin story.
Michael makes Basilius the head of the stables, then chief counselor, literally showering him with money, titles, and unprecedented power.
Michael basically assumed he was purchasing permanent loyalty.
But he profoundly misunderstood the psychology of unearned elevation.
He did. When you hire a friend, you unbalance the existing relationship. People possess a really deep psychological need to feel they earned their success through merit.
Right. They want to feel capable, not like some charity case.
Precisely. When you just hand a friend a high position, it creates a highly toxic psychological cocktail. They feel secretly condescended to, which breeds hidden resentment.
Wow.
And simultaneously, because they didn't have to fight for the position, they develop a massive sense of entitlement. Basilius didn't feel grateful. He felt that he deserved even more.
And he took it.
Oh, he certainly did.
Basilius got a taste for power. He convinced Michael to let him murder Michael's own uncle to consolidate control.
Yikes.
Then he took over the army. Finally, when Michael asked for some of the borrowed money back, Basilius and his soldiers murdered Michael in his sleep.
Just brutal.
Basilius rode through the streets with his best friend's head on a pike and crowned himself emperor.
It is a gruesome historical reality, but it perfectly illustrates why friends in the workplace can be so incredibly dangerous.
Because they hide their true feelings.
Exactly. They hide their envy, their disagreements, just to avoid ruining the comfortable setup you've given them, right up until the resentment just boils over.
Here's where it gets really interesting. I was thinking about this dynamic, and hiring a friend is kind of like adopting a pampered show dog.
Okay, I like this analogy.
Right. You give it treats, you brush its hair, and eventually it just expects the luxury. It forgets where the treats even come from. It might even nip at your hand if the treats ever stop coming.
Absolutely.
But employing a former enemy, that's like rescuing a stray dog off the street. That stray knows the harshness of the world. It knows it was starving.
Yeah.
It knows it owes you its life. So it will be fiercely, aggressively loyal to the person who gave it a second chance.
What's fascinating here is how accurately that captures the harsh reality of human gratitude.
Really?
Yeah, ingratitude is actually the natural human baseline. We acclimate to new privileges and take them for granted very quickly.
Well, it's so true.
A former enemy, however, has something to prove. They are terrified of losing your sudden, unexpected favor. A friend expects the favor as just a baseline condition of the friendship.
The book provides a masterful counterexample to the whole Byzantine disaster with Emperor Sung of China around AD 959.
This is such a great story.
At this time in Chinese history, the military generals were constantly assassinating emperors to take the throne for themselves. It was just this brutal, endless cycle of betrayal.
And Emperor Sung decides to break it.
Yes, he invites his most powerful, dangerous generals to a banquet. He gets them all drunk.
Which is a bold move.
Very bold. And then he basically says, look, I know you all want my job, and it's stressing us all out.
It's ruining the vibe.
Exactly. If you peacefully resign your posts tonight, I will give you massive estates, untold riches, and beautiful homes to live out your days in luxury.
Rather than fighting a costly war, he essentially bribed his greatest existential threats into peaceful retirement.
He recognized that destroying an enemy often leaves a power vacuum, or it creates mortars that inspire even more enemies to seek revenge.
And he applied this exact logic to his active rivals as well.
Right, when he defeated rival kings in battle, like King Lu and King Qianshu, his advisors screamed at him to execute them. I mean, it was the standard protocol.
Right, just get rid of him.
Instead, Sung spared their lives and gave them prestigious positions in his own court. He even handed Qianshu a sealed package containing all the intercepted documents proving Qianshu had conspired to kill him.
Talk about a power move.
He literally handed him the evidence and basically said, I know exactly what you planned, and I forgive you.
And what happened?
Those defeated enemies became his most fiercely loyal vassals. They worked twice as hard as anyone else because they had everything to prove, and they owed him their literal lives.
By converting his enemies, Emperor Sung created an unbreakable shield. There's actually a quote attributed to Abraham Lincoln in the text that sums this up perfectly. Do I not destroy my enemies when I make them my friends?
Oh, that's really good.
It is a profoundly strategic way to look at the conflicts in your own life.
It really forces you to reevaluate the people around you. Like, think about your own workplace for a second. That rival who is always competing with you for the biggest accounts.
Yeah.
If you find a way to align your interests and bring them onto your team, they will fight for your shared goals with the exact same ferocity they used to fight you.
They become your greatest asset.
We have covered some intense paradigm-shifting ground today.
For sure.
So what does this all actually mean for you, the listener, heading back into your office, your community, or your next negotiation?
Well, it means you have to start observing the hidden emotional currents beneath the surface of professional politeness.
It means intentionally curbing your own anger, recognizing that an emotional reaction is an immediate surrender of your power.
And it means ensuring that your boss, your master, always feels comfortably superior, like they're the smartest person in the room.
All while you quietly gather your own strength and expertise.
Exactly. And it means looking at your rivals not just as frustrating obstacles, but as potential future allies who will work tirelessly for you if you just know how to flip them.
I think it's vital to reiterate that adopting these laws isn't about becoming some mustache-twirling evil villain.
No, not at all. It is truly about self-defense. The game of power is being played all around you every single day, whether you choose to acknowledge it or not.
If you don't understand these mechanics, if you insist on walking blindly into the modern aristocratic court, expecting a transparent meritocracy where good deeds are magically rewarded, you are going to be played by those who do understand the rules.
You'll end up like Fouquet, wondering why your brilliant work landed you in a cell.
And remember, the title of the book is The 48 Laws of Power. We have only just scratched the surface today with the first two.
It is a massive, incredibly complex system of behavioral observation.
It really is.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a final puzzle to mull over, something that kind of challenges everything we've just discussed.
Ooh, okay. Lay it on us.
If you look ahead to the very last rule in the book, Law 48, it is simply this. Assume formlessness.
Assume formlessness.
Right. It's the idea that you must be as fluid as water, You must never bet on lasting order, and you must adapt to every new circumstance without taking a rigid, identifiable shape.
A complete lack of rigid structure.
Precisely. So here is the provocative thought for you to explore on your own. If the ultimate pinnacle of power, the final supreme law, is formlessness and total adaptability,
Wait, sorry, adaptability.
does strictly adhering to the previous 47 rigid laws of power actually make you predictable? Yes. And if you're predictably following the rules of a book, doesn't that make you ultimately vulnerable?
Oh, that is a brilliant paradox to end on. By becoming a flawless disciple of the rules, you might just be building your own cage.
It's definitely something to think about.
It all comes back to that broken X-ray machine we talked about at the very beginning. We desperately want the clean lines. We want the binary system where fairness is visible, guaranteed, and earned on the up and up.
But in the muddy, emotionally driven waters of human ambition, the X-ray simply does not work.
The world isn't a meritocracy. It is a beautifully dressed, highly civilized war.
So keep your eyes open, observe the board.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Stay curious out there, keep observing the game, and whatever you do, keep your velvet gloves on.